Hello everybody, it's Jessica Flyer. Today I'm just going to watch the video, and I've heard many stories on what happened to kids. Well, it kind of reminded me what I wanted to do a long time ago but couldn't because I didn't have the camera or anything. I wanted to come out about my story. And anyone else who has felt this way or have gone through the same thing I'm about to talk about, same things I'm about to talk about, comment. My life started out, well, not too easy, but not too hard either. My dad left when I was about 2 months old. From then on, we lived in this farmhouse. If you believe in ghosts, it was haunted. And there's much more to it. My mom had to work all the time just to keep paying the rent. My aunt had to move in to watch us. And that didn't go too well, so my aunt had to leave with her children. Anyway, coming out of that era and then we moved around the Midwest a lot because of money problems. We didn't know where to go. We found a few houses for rent, but we couldn't afford to buy. We still can't. Life wasn't pretty bad. It wasn't pretty good either, but we had each other, and that's what mattered. Then my mom met my stepdad when I was 6. She married him April 1st when I was 7. I turned 7 November 28th, and my sister was pregnant as well. I warned her that he was a bad man, that nothing good was going to come out of this relationship, but she didn't listen to me. She married him anyway. It scarred me for life to what he did to me and her. What he did to me for 8 years. For years, he abused me in 3 different ways. He sexually abused me, technically, because he used to touch my thing and play with bugs. And then he physically abused me. I used to be beaten a lot. Then I was verbally abused as well. And when I was 2, I was diagnosed with autism, which made it worse. There are instances I remember the most. I have a scar on my chest. You can't really see it. It's right about here, where I'm touching right now, from when he threw me across the living room and I was bleeding out of my chest. There was another instance where in the basement, he sat me in a chair naked and beat me with a belt. I had bruises all over my body, including on that. I couldn't go to school for weeks because Mom didn't want anyone to see. But she knew the relationship was abusive too. There's one instance I remember the most when he tried stabbing my mom, and I was on the couch and watching this fight as he had the knife trying to stab the shit out of her. I had my school, which was my sanctuary, until middle school. Middle school was roughest for me. From 6th to 8th grade, I was bullied, and in 6th, I was still being abused. 7th grade, it stopped because my dad was forced to go to rehab, but the bullying didn't stop. The bullying started in 6th grade, but it was real slow, so I realized it wasn't that severe, so I pushed it off. 7th grade, it got worse. I was called names, but 8th grade was the worst. I was pushed into lockers, I was punched, I was beaten. I had chunks of ice thrown at me in the winter. In my lifetime, because of that, I have tried killing myself 6 times. It was enough. My 6th time, I realized that there was no reason. Because when I got into 9th grade, people were nicer. I still get bullied sometimes, but it was like my 6th grade year, not so severe, enough to push it off. And I got the love of my life now. His name's Dylan Merrifield. He started dating me a week ago. He's a senior in high school. I'm a freshman, but we're only literally 3 years apart. I'm 15. My birthday's November 28th, so I'm turning 16 this year. But still, things aren't very good at home. Things do get in the way. My mom and my sister argue sometimes when she comes over, and that actually happened over the weekend. They were yelling and screaming at each other, but I just had to walk away from it. I had to leave because I didn't want to get in the middle of it because sometimes that's what happens. My mom was also attacked by my stepfather's long-lost son. He tried choking her from the back. I grabbed him from the neck and started hitting his head, and then he pushed me off, and I don't think I have a scar from that anymore, but I had a pretty bad red scar going all the way across my chest. No one at North High knows that it's this bad. But if you are from North High and you're watching this, and you've been going through the same thing either in the past, or in your present years, there's more. You're not the only one who went through or is going through this. There are people I know now that are being abused, who are going through the same thing I went through, but much worse. There are people that go through stuff much worse than I do. I used to thought mine was bad. Then I met friends who have gone through the same thing. My boyfriend, he had been abused for about, I believe he said 16 years in the same way. Anyway, I just wanted to finally tell the story because I'm done hiding it. The burden. I finally told my mom about the sexual abuse because she didn't know that he sexually abused me and touched me in places that he shouldn't have. And knowing that she wasn't that understanding, I just thought she would have yelled at me, so I kept it inside until 2016 after I turned 15. In December, I finally told her. I was done with the pain. And like I said, and this is my last time saying this because I'm going to sign off, go see my boyfriend. If people out there are going through the same thing or have gone through the same thing, don't think you're alone. Because things can be bad, but there are things that are much worse. This is Jessica Plyer signing off.